Hello, everybody. It's been a while. I know this is the first video I've had out in like a week. And so this is going to be a lot. And this video comprises all the content from this week. So last week, the week of November 20th with Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, I got sick, so I got really behind on lectures and I wasn't able to watch them, get a video out, go through Anki. So got a little bit behind, but here's this video. Hopefully you see it before we resume this week, and we'll try to be on top of things. But luckily this week only comprises 300 or so new cards. So hopefully it's not too bad to add into your Anki rotation. But just to keep things short, I'm just going to jump right into it. So first things first, we'll jump into step one, version 11, first aid, come down to anatomy and physiology of the neuro and special senses. Just make sure that your arrow in your sorting is pointing down in the sort field. And we'll go right into it. So first section is sensory receptors. Go ahead and activate all of these. Some of them are lower yield from the lecture, but I mean, it's 10 seconds out of your day to do an extra card. So I figured do all of them. They're all in the lecture, all pretty important. And then we're going to go to 11 here. I'm just going to break it up. We're only going to look at two Huntingtons. I grabbed all three. And Parkinson's, I grabbed all three. And that is it there. Ignore the other ones. You just want these two subsets, not all of that. Right? And then we're going to jump to 17 and the thalamus. But if you want, you could just activate, why don't we just do that? Skip these first four over the thalamic pain syndrome. You don't need those. And then you can activate the rest, except get rid of this last one. That's going back again to the thalamic pain syndrome. And then we're going to jump down to 20 into the cerebellum, and we'll be resuming here. I think tomorrow is when Dr. Elisalti goes over the cerebellum. So not too much, but if you want to get started here, you can start here in cerebellum. I'm just going to break it up between the sections. So in the circuitry, the first three come down to the bottom, the last two, skip one, coming up, grabbing this one here. Cerebellar lesions, ignore all of those. Anatomy and physiology, you can ignore all of those. That'll probably be in the next video. And histology, you should have had all this already activated from the previous video, but if you haven't, all of it except the first three. And the 6-layer neocortex should look like that with none of them, but that'll probably get changed here too. And then 21, lots in here. Basal ganglia was big. So in the anatomy section, just grab the first one and then come down and find this card here. It's about halfway, or you skip 8 or so here. And these are the ones you want to get. So as long as your sort field is like this, you should find this card here. The globus pallidus is divided to the internal and external segment. And that's what's there. Direct pathway, all of it except the last two. These last two are just going over the receptors, the D1 receptors, which we don't need to know. Identification, all of them. Indirect pathway, all of them except for the first two and the last two, and that's again going at the receptors. Don't need to know that. Right, and then we're going to jump to 22 and go into just clinical. And so some of these you should have already had, but make sure your sort field's like this. You're going to come down to this card here. The precentral gyrus is in the area of the primary motor cortex. I activated these just because it's going to help me with location and like anatomy for when we're drawing those pathways out. That's why I activated these cards. So if that's helpful for you, great. If not, if you're concerned about activating too many cards, you can come through and look at these, see if they're really going to help you. But I mean, it's just 7 of these cards here, and it's going over like the somatosensory region or cortex regions. So, and then identification, I didn't do any. Here's extra practice if you want it. I am good. And then we're going to jump down to 25. And oh yeah, the watershed. Sorry. I'm like, what did I activate here? Just these 3 watershed ones. It was really just one key concept, so I didn't want to activate all of these cards, just these 3. They get the key component that, if you have blood loss in a border region that you're going to have low blood supply or hypotension and or ischemia, depending on which word choice they want to use, and that leads to tissue death and all kinds of problems that you don't want. And then we're going to jump into the brain stem here. Anatomy and blood supply, just grab the rest of it, unless you didn't have any of it, then get all of it. And identification, grab it all. Brainstem levels, we'll break that up a little bit. Grab all of the caudal medulla, all of the midbrain, all of the pons except for these two. I mean, you can grab these if you want. We just don't need to know the internal genu of the facial nerve. I couldn't find that anywhere in our lectures, so I might have missed it, but I couldn't find it at all. So I figured 2 list cards. The rostral medulla, all of them. Rostral midbrain, all of them except this card here. I figured this one wasn't pertinent to our further knowledge. The substantia nigra appears black or dark brown because of the melanin pigment. So I don't really want, yeah, I don't see why that would be relevant for us. And that is, yeah, and then grab midbrain or rostral pons. And then in reticular formation, none of them, not yet. We're not there yet. It was just mentioned as like, there is a reticular formation. We didn't learn anything about it. And then come to rules of 4. This rules of 4 comes into lesions and how it presents in the body in respect to the path, like the nerve pathways going up and down, whether something's ipsilateral or contralateral. So I thought these were really helpful. I didn't want any of these other ones up here. If you find them helpful, great, get them. It's kind of like rules of 4 mnemonics for remembering how many things are in the midline or lateral or exit a certain way. So those are there if you want them. I'd start here. Rules of 4, lesions in the brainstem that affect the sympathetic pathway, and then just drag down and activate the rest. I feel like those would be pretty helpful. Right, and then we're going to move on to 31. Make sure you have all of them except this last one. Don't need this last one. Yeah, I mean, you can grab it if you want. I figured it was in very high yield detail, so. And then go to 35. We already had some of these activated, but activate all of them except this last one as well. Just kind of, I guess, coming full circle with a lot of stuff here. And then 39, break this up. Section identification, activate all of this here. Spinal cord levels, grab the first one, skip these ones. These ones, they're just oddly specific, like C5 to T1, L2 to S2, they're like below T5, above T5. I checked and they're not in the lecture slides, and I don't recall this being a part of the lecture, but it just seems very detailed versus the first one. And then these ones from here out, like the lateral horn is present only in the thoracic and lumbar region. This says T1 and L2, but you know, this one is pretty self-explanatory that it's going to be absent. And the cervical, this says lower lumbar, and then the sacral region, which it's not in the sacral region, and it gets really small in the lower lumbars. But yeah, these other ones are helpful for that. And then the spinal cord microanatomy, I didn't activate any of this. Did I just forget to do this? I might have forgotten to go over this section. Well, watch for a comment on this video with a screenshot of this screen. If, yeah, I'll post this as a separate post with a screenshot if this is anything important. It might be, I have no idea. It looks like, I don't know why I would have missed this, but I'll come back and investigate that. And then we're going to go into 40 here. Lots of good stuff here. So we're just going to break it up. Dorsal column, grab it all. Lesueur tract, grab it. Spinocerebellar, yeah. Skip the first 2, grab the 3rd and the 4th, and then grab this last one here. And then the spinothalamic tract, grab it all except for this one. I just didn't feel like this one was high yield, so decided not to do it. And then descending tracts, just the one. Skip this card here. and these two here. I didn't feel like were high yield enough to be included. And then that is it for anatomy and physiology. Then we're going to go to pathology here. We're going to come down to 23 and hit the anatomy section. Again, skip this one, and this one. You should have the rest here. Kind of looks like a repeat. It's been a long day for me trying to get caught up on this. So make sure your screen just looks similar to this. And then basics, skip that one, lower motor neuron, all of them except for these, like the last one you want, but then the four before that you do not want. And then coming down to upper motor neurons, the first two, skip two, and then these ones here, just don't get the last three, these two. And that is it for lower motor neurons. And then 26, the Brown-Séquard syndrome. You want the first one, skip the first, those next three, and then the rest. And so, like I said, watch for a post in regards to microanatomy of the spinal cord. I completely missed this. Maybe I went over it and just found it wasn't pertinent. But again, watch for a screenshot picture in the comments or as a separate announcement on the YouTube page. But that is it for this video. Sorry I got out so late, so I hope it's too much of a burden with another week of classes coming up. But hope everyone had a good Thanksgiving. They're feeling well and ready for the last stretch before finals. Cheers.